Hello, this is Sheridan Small, Education Manager here at Dumbarton House. Welcome to our Museums 101 short video series. This is an introduction to Federal period art and architecture. It was fortunate that this style, Greek, was so early introduced into our country, as it exactly suited the character of our political institutions and pecuniary means. Robert Mills, Federal Architect of Public Buildings, 1836. Here at Dumbarton House, our building is the biggest object in our collection. It is over 220 years old, and we can learn a lot about life in the past by looking at it. Built in 1799, Dumbarton House is an example of Federal-style architecture, the style of buildings constructed in the newly founded United States between 1780 and 1830. During this time of nation building, government leaders such as Thomas Jefferson looked to classical Greece and Rome for inspiration in forging an identity for the new American Republic. As a brand new democracy, America looked to ancient Greece, also a democracy, as an example for how to establish its own values, government, and style in art and architecture. The Federal style in America is characterized by symmetry and balance, both inside and out. Dumbarton House has a large central block, balanced by smaller two-story wings on either side. The wings, in turn, are connected to the central block by matching hyphens. The large windows, semicircular fan lights, and columns in the central block are all characteristics of the Federal style. Inside Dumbarton House, rooms of the same dimensions face each other on either side of the central passage, two at the front and two at the back. Inside this hallway, or lower passage as we call it, there are many elements of design that are meant to remind viewers of classical Greece and Rome, such as the archway, columns, frieze, and wallpaper. This wallpaper is meant to look like the ceiling design in some classical Roman buildings. Do you see the similarities? Ours is just very colorful. Decorative plaster molding mimics the frieze in classical Roman buildings, like the Pantheon in Rome. This window uses the classical detail of an archway and creates symmetry with the windows around the front door. This is the best chamber, or master bedroom. In the virtual tour on our website, you can explore this room in greater detail. We're going to take a look at just a few objects that highlight characteristics of the Federal style and decorative arts. Decorative arts are objects that have a function in addition to being beautiful. This delicate table is a sewing table. The pink silk basket would have held scraps of cloth and partly finished sewing projects. There are tiny wheels on each leg, allowing the woman of the household to move this table around the room to find the best light, so that she could see well enough to make tiny stitches. The thin legs and decorative inlaid wood along the top are examples of Federal period style. Contrast the delicate sewing table with this chunky chair. It is heavier looking, and instead of using inlaid wood of different colors, it has carvings for decoration. Do you see the shell at the top? It is an older style, before the Federal period style. Lastly, we will look at the use of symbolism in Federal period art. This is the parlor, which is like a living room, where guests were entertained with music, conversation, and tea. This is an allegory, or a picture with a hidden meaning. Early Americans borrowed images from Greek mythology as well as Greek architecture, so learning about Greek gods and goddesses can help you understand Federal period art and what Americans thought of their new country. The woman is Hebe, the goddess of youth, who is supposed to represent liberty. She is feeding the god Zeus in the form of an eagle, who is supposed to represent America. Our national bird is the eagle, partly because an golden eagle is one of the symbols of the most powerful of the Greek gods, Zeus. People looking at this image 200 years ago would understand that the maker was trying to say America is a young and free nation. This is another allegory. Here we can see America as the seated woman. The woman standing next to her is Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom and war, wearing her helmet and holding a spear. Athena is pointing to the shield that the seated woman holds, which has a symbol of the United States on it and the words Union and Independence. Do you see the American flag behind them? Other symbols in this image are the cornucopia on the ground with vegetables spilling out of it, which represents the abundance of plants grown in the nation, a point of pride for Americans. We often see this symbol during Thanksgiving. What other American symbols and examples of federal period architecture can you think of? There are many here in Washington, D.C., because of all the government buildings needed for the running of the capital city. The next time you explore where you live, keep your eye out for elements of the federal style.